Biscuits. I sat back harder in that chair than I'm into. How is your glorious spring going? Are you over on my Patreon saying hello, joining in, having an amazing time making your primal home a place that you're like, oh, I'll call this home all the time. I love seeing you over there. It means so much to me when you join, even if you just join for a month and binge my like 4 or 5 years of back catalog on there, watch all my new stuff, join in with the chats. It makes such a difference to my heart when you join in and sign up on Patreon. So thank you so much to everybody that signed up this month. It is so wonderful and it's made me so happy. Always know I appreciate all my Patreon members. Because I do. I don't know why that came out as a little like infomercial, but there you go. So I'm doing another one of these because I love them. Would you move from Washington State, those are sound effects, to Michigan, land o' the lakes, maybe butter, I don't know. I think Land O'Lakes might actually be from Minnesota, but whichever. I'm Valley girl, like totally. Oh my gosh, I haven't had occasion to do my California Valley girl in a long time. It's a sad thing. So Michigan is actually one of the states that our family has seriously looked into if and when, not if, when we decide to move from the West Coast. Whenever everything aligns and we can make that move, Michigan is one of the top places on our list. It's on our top 5 list of places that we really love. I've road tripped through different sections of Michigan and it is just such a cool area. It is so much more civilized than West Coasters like to admit, because West Coasties judge harshly anything that's not West Coast or East Coast. Upper East Coast or West Coast. Everything else they're like, why would you live in this nuclear wasteland of hell? And I'm like, because, you know, it's not a crime infested, drug fueled, deranged party of epic dumpster fire. God, I love trash talking the West Coast. It's fun because I'm a West Coaster, so I get to self-insult. So I'm going to talk about positive Michigans and negatives, both for Michigan and then in comparison to Washington, because maybe you're thinking, I want to move from Michigan to Washington. Should you dare? Are you okay with your car getting broken into 1 to 2 times a year, your house getting broken into every year, every 2 years, or at least attempted break-in, and you're just gonna see some interesting things on the sidewalks. Think people taking substances and possibly without their pants. if you're lucky, it can get weirder than that. And that's in pretty much every town of any size in Washington. Small towns I'm excluding from that because that's different. But if it's got a population above, I don't know, 50,000, you're gonna be seeing that in the West Coast, on Western Washington. Okay, I was checking my list. First thing I took notes on from this is that Michigan has a lot more pronounced seasons than Western Washington. Western Washington has July and August are summer, and then you get September, October are fall, and then you get winter from mid-October or the end of October all the way through until about the end of April, beginning of May, and then get a really short little spring. And winter is gray, overcast, damp, but no big storms. Rarely do you get ice or snowstorms. Just kind of gray depletion of existence, which I struggle with immensely, and I actually don't know anyone that doesn't. There's something about the non-weather of winter, but it's still cold and miserable and gray, that really gets everybody depressed. Whereas Michigan, you're gonna have a big chunky winter, November through March, April, but you're gonna get real snow, you're gonna get storms, you're gonna get some nice days in there, you're gonna get more sun than you'd get in a lot of Western Washington, because you will get more spotted sunny days throughout there. But it is a gray, Western Michigan is more gray than Eastern Michigan, so you gotta decide if you're looking east or west where you're gonna go. You're gonna get more pronounced fall leaf colors in Michigan than you are Washington, by far. And I think the springs are about comparable, but I've never spent a full spring in Michigan, so I'm kind of talking out of internet research and road trips. So take that for what you will, you know, internet advice. Okay. I love that I wrote these notes down. This is so funny. Less crime. Overall, Michigan has a lower crime index for a lot of things. For property crime, it's going to be less. So people breaking into your car, your home, that kind of thing. A lot of the towns don't have the same open substance use and criminality that a lot of towns in Western Washington have, because a lot of towns in Western Washington have seen a spike because they've legalized it. You won't get arrested if you steal something under, I think it's $1,000 or $2,000. They won't even call the police. You won't get arrested for open substance use. You won't get arrested for running down the street naked screaming, because they want to help you by just letting you do that and not giving you help. So this is curious. Okay, I went on the crime data sites. Overall, violent crime rose slightly year over year. So you're going to get like 5.1 to 1,000 residents. Property crime increased from 13 to almost 16%. So Michigan has seen a property crime increase just like Washington. It's the 10th lowest state in the union for property crime, though, overall. Whereas Washington's crime level violent crime is 19% higher than the national average, and its property crime is 72% higher than overall the national average. So you gotta take it, and you gotta take these into account too, that are you living in Detroit or Seattle in these states? Or are you living in a small town that's going to have a really different metric? And so that's really hard overall. I'm always hesitant to like take statewide crime as a genuine statistic, because you really have to look at stuff to decide. Overall, though, the vibe I've gotten from Michigan is that it just has less crime unless you're in a big criminally known city. Whereas Western Washington, a lot of medium-sized towns have a surprisingly bad crime issue for the size that it is. It doesn't quite make sense, and I have not been able to be told by anybody why that's occurring. So if you're looking for a way more pronounced 4 seasons, if you really love to play in the snow, if you like a little hotter, warmer summers, and if you really love lakes and rivers and kind of freshwater play, I think Michigan will be a great option to pick compared to Washington, because Michigan's going to have a much lower cost of living, but it still has pretty decent pay rate for a lot of jobs. It's got a little tech center that's popping up, and it's got a lot of medical options. One reason we have our trouble with our part of Western Washington is that it doesn't have very good medical care. You can be 4 to 6 months out just for a general practitioner, family doctor to make an appointment with, for your pediatrician. There's only a couple of them, and they're pretty low quality, and it's just been a real issue for us whenever we've needed to get medical care, is we've really struggled to get any decent medical care. And Michigan is better known for a little bit higher quality medical care in the state, not just in like the cities, right? So like if you're in Seattle, right, you have different access than if you're in the suburbs or if you're in any other town all over Washington state, right? So I think that's something to take in consideration. Taxes aren't too bad. They're like around 5%. It depends if you're self-employed. So Washington state has about a 4% income tax if you're self-employed, give or take. It doesn't have income tax if you're an employee. So juggle that and kind of decide, like, does that make sense for your move? Overall, we have been really impressed with Michigan as a state. It's extremely family friendly. It's got a ton of fun kid stuff to do, which is something that's really intrigued us, because Washington in our area doesn't have a lot for the kids to do. And that's something we've really struggled with as a family, that we like to be active, we like to do things, we like to have a lot of fun when we aren't doing our mellow downtime, right? We like to have that opportunity to do things. Michigan has a lot more of those options to do, and you're going to be a lot nearer big cities that will have a lot of options as well, depending on what area of Michigan you're going to move to. And you just have to decide if you want to put up with the winters, because the winters are harsh and they're long and they're icy and snowy. So like, do you want that kind of winter. My kids actually really love snow, and so we aren't as terrified of that, because actually one of our complaints about Western Washington is we don't get enough snow, and we really are looking for somewhere that, if it doesn't have snow, has the ability to get to snow easily, you know. So that is why Michigan is really high on our list of places that we are thinking about going to when our new adventure can kick off, whenever that may be. And if you are looking for a place to move with a young family from Washington State, consider Michigan. It's got a lot of really good options to go to. And I don't know, the upper Midwest, I think, is actually a sweetie pie place. It's full of really nice people. Alright, biscuits, I'm going to see you on the next video, in between researching other states and mocking them. I love y'all, biscuits. I'll see you in the next one.